we once again wander our way back into the planet traveling situation. Mostly just to deal with this lovely friend known as Johnny's, Efreet's magic going for it. And today's of all choices, considering we've got the four selections going there. Oh, that's the wrong button. Oops. We jump into the Efreeti, however you want to pronounce the go for it. Like all genies, they are born essentially like humans are, with a few exceptions of them not being born typically as singles. Usually twins, triplets, even larger litters. They're practically dogs at this point. If you get a genie, they're born in a large group of like a lot. Barring that functions being of four different elemental planes plus a side tracker who's sidetracked. Today is the Efreeti, or Ifrit, however you want to refer to them. They are from the very obvious and very uncreative fire domains. Born and raised as elemental kins to the fire plane itself. They're pretty much the evilest of evil versions of pretty much all the elemental type stuff for you. They are known to being very common to raiding and traveling to other planes just purely so they can take more land, enslave more people. When you think evil, that's what you think of. By their defaultly natures of it, they're actually large size compared to most of them sitting in their medium size form. And because of their extra large savory size, they should reflect stats that get it. They have a significant drop in their ability to move around and fly, more or less because they'd assumedly be wearing more armor-like situations than anything else, which is odd, considering it's not actually reflected in their stats that they would be wearing armor, nor do they typically wear armor, but most of them you will meet will be battle-ready and prepared. Even then, they typically fight, as with surprisingly most Johnny, with a lovely scimitar. Considering they stand at an average of 12 feet and 2,000 pounds, these guys are built to take fights to ya. As with pretty much any fire elemental plane creature, they are immune to fire, obviously by nature, and vulnerable to cold. They naturally have detect magic at will, which is kind of scary to go for. And some minor... Their choice of ranged spells, of course, is Scorching Ray. So they don't have exactly the worst choices to go for. Spell-wise, they are very heavily deemed in the Sitting of Fire magic. They have their constant detect magic to see and track down valuables of sorts. At will, they can plane shift, so they'll... Hence why they are very outspoken in traveling to pretty much any planes there is. And, of course, they can produce fire, pyrotechnics, and Scorching Ray at will, which isn't super amazingly going for. 3 times a day, they have chosen to invest themselves into having invisibility and fireball, and apparently decided to quicken their Scorching Rays for it. And unlike our good friends, the Tharooms, they can naturally cast their 3-wish genie spells. And they have a gaseous form, which is fitting considering they most likely would turn into like a smoky cloud of ash more than some generic gas form. And the permanent image spell, which is usually, I think like all of them have, ironically. But comparatively, the fact that they by default can cast and grant wishes, I don't picture them doing it a whole lot. They're not exactly friendly to a lot of things. And they aren't even really liked among their own kind, considering they're tyrants in their own case. So why would you be liked? Next on their list of things they can go for in a weird going situation, which is upheld by their, I guess, natively human planed creatures of the Efreet children, they can change size, which is just basically enlarge person or reduce person, but specifically designed for them themselves. It is also written in the funniest way because it fully writes out twice per day, which is odd, but I guess fill that word count. And then for some reason it even lists the fortitude save to it, which is harmless magic as far as I can tell you, so I don't know why they would ever rule into that problem. But beyond that, because of that, they are easily able to enlarge themselves to being bigger than most giants in the round. Or in some cases, they can simply, I guess, shrink to be reasonably sized to fill the space. I mean, it's kind of that Aladdin situation of picturing them getting big, then small, then big, then small. Ironically, as much as it's described as change size and enlarge reduced persons, they do have their change shape, which allows them to take on humanoid or giant forms, as per the significantly disappointing spell of alter self in giant form. They're not super amazing. I mean, it's stat buffs, so stat buffs work great. And mixed in with their change size to their change shape, you can make yourself big and meaty to slap people around. Oh, and then they have their heat ability, but that really is just pretty much fire elemental. I think it only does like 1d6, and that's plenty to be fair. And last but not least, the noble Efreetis, which are significantly higher hit dice and gain fireball and heat metal 3 times a day, which is not bad, not bad. Once per day, they pretty much improve their invisibility to greater invisibility, which is terrifying. And then they gain a, I guess it would be considered a unique spell situation, but they get Pyroclastic Storm, which is just an ice storm, but fire damage instead of cold. So, circumstantially, it's probably not as tasty to use. And, of course, because of its increase to hit dice and CR, the caster levels are bumped. I mean, it's a 15th level cast level on those, which is really, really good. And the CR goes up by 2 because of the hit dice change and spell change, which is kind of scary considering they gain 3 hit dice and only gain 2 challenge rating in total. Mixed in with all the spells they got, that is definitely a choice. But overall, if you need the Tyrant of the Fire Plains to come hang out for you, they will arrive. They do not have regards to slavery. They very much ingest themselves into law and order. So they're not the worst people to have ruling an area. They rule it with a strong thumb in favor of themselves. They are also more akin to being the unfair wish curators, as opposed to most of them being favorable of giving you awesomeness. But either way, you can trick shot your ghosts and going around. But anytime you see war, you'll probably meet an Efreeti, if not a couple of them. They love to help out with all kinds of wars, especially in those payment options for it. I mean, shoot, they can get crazy high strength and strength. They still retain fairly good decks. They have the everyone's favorite first book bestiary one feat choices where you're wondering why they chose some of the weird shit, but hey, everyone chooses their options. But other than that, welcome to the dilemma of fighting something that does not like anything else. Bye bye!